Hello, I'm John Furrier with theCUBE. I'm here in Washington, D.C. for NVIDIA's GTC, a special kind of a pop-up mini GTC with so much action happening this year. Of course, the main show in San Jose will be even bigger, but there's so much important news happening at the networking level and the partnerships powering the next generation AI. We got two of the leaders from Cisco and NVIDIA. Gilad, thanks for coming on. He's the head of networking at NVIDIA, SVP, and Will, SVP of Network Engineering, Cisco, with big partnership news. Thanks for taking the time today. I know you're super busy, and thanks for spending the time. First, let's talk about the partnership with Cisco. You got a lot of threads here. What's the core news?
So I'll just hit the three key things we're announcing this week. The first one is cloud reference architecture, which is based on currently shipping technology. So that's Cisco Nexus and SONiC running with Spectrum-X enablement, so that our customers can get the management and the switches that they've been using, but with a reference architecture that allows them to scale into the thousands of GPUs. So that was the first announcement. Second announcement is a new Nexus 9100, and this is going to be an NCP RA, which is a very, for especially NeoCloud, but other customers, a very key blanket program. And so the 9100 is a Spectrum ASIC enabled Cisco switch that's running Nexus or SONiC, and will be part of that NCP. And then the third one is the orderability and soon to be GA of Hyperfabric AI. And this is an innovative new solution for full cluster management, because management of these clusters, especially for high-end enterprise, is something that is a really big deal, and they don't want to be managing supercomputers.
On the NVIDIA side, you guys, the market's obviously growing, the demand for tokens in the AI factory, we covered that. The traffic demands on the networking is high. The systems are optimized for networking as kind of an OS, and the ecosystem is developing with customers kind of rapidly forcing in, and with the open source developer community booming. This kind of puts you guys in a good position. What does this mean for that market? Because you're now enabling more, I guess, compute, programmability, manageability, essentially network support, which people want to adapt to their existing, but also build in new AI capabilities. What's this mean for that?
Right. So with, or inside NVIDIA, we're essentially focusing on building AI data centers, so building AI supercomputers. And you all know that data center has become the unit of computing. We also know that the way that you connect GPU ASICs will determine what that data center can do. And we also know that we're in annual cadence of technology, because there's a fast pace of progress. There's a demands from the workloads on inferencing, training, tokens, and so forth. So we are on annual cadence of releasing of new technology. And we want that AI technology to be accessible by everyone. And therefore, working with the ecosystem, it's an important thing for NVIDIA to make sure that, again, AI is accessible for everyone. We are focusing on a lot of open source and bringing the flexibility in the options. The collaboration with Cisco actually help us to drive the AI technology that we develop into the enterprise class, into the cloud customers, that they're already using the great Cisco software infrastructure within their data centers. They would like to continue using the same things, because this is how their IT infrastructure is built for. This is what they invested so far, and they want to continue to reuse their investment or enjoy from an investment. And our collaboration enables us to actually bring that AI technology, those AI supercomputers, into the enterprise, into the clouds. And they will continue to use the greatness of Cisco. So for them, it's actually will be very, very easier to consume AI and to consume new generations of AI as we move forward.
This is the story I think everyone needs to hear, because it's very nuanced. What you just said, you're bringing AI to networking, but you already have networking inside NVIDIA. KV Cache, and Jensen was on stage last year, and he said, KV Cache is the operating system of AI factories. I'm like, oh my God, boom, the bells went off. Bringing AI into an existing network is not a bug, it's a feature, Will. Mm-hmm. This is what I think what's happening is that the worlds are coming together. Networking is not one thing, it's many things. Mm-hmm. Explain to the person out there who's trying to figure this out from a investment standpoint, staffing, deployment. It's a generational investment. So bringing networking, NVIDIA, AI to networking, is a feature. Why is that so important? And what should people be thinking about? It's not replacing anything, it's only additive. What's your view on that?
So very much it's additive. And I think that's where, first of all, trust is a big factor for a lot of the customers we're talking to, where they want to have those reference architectures are a key aspect. They want to know that, and this is where like my team is building up these systems using the Cisco Silicon One, Spectrum, the combined technology management. We're running all the benchmarks and testing, and then we're walking through with Gilad and his team. And so our customers want to trust that that's something that we've done so they don't have to do. They don't want to be deploying those teams doing all of that work. And so that's one key aspect. And then following the reference architecture, the next big topic comes in is operational management. And so for us, being able to bring in Nexus Dashboard, the new Hyperfabric AI, these are ways that our customers with small teams and expertise that they already have can add that. So for them, they should think of it as instead of a DGX or a single box, it's now that cluster, and maybe it's starting with 64 or 128 GPUs is very common, but they shouldn't have to be experts on Rocky and RDMA and all those aspects of troubleshooting. That's something that the tooling and the management software should do for them. And so and they can trust us to put that together and validate.
As they say, supercomputing brings superpower. So this is, you're adding AI to networking. What's the consideration, Gilad, on the engineering side? Because the reference architecture speaks to, okay, that environment, but as we move forward, the configuration of the software and the hardware is huge. The network fabric is one of the most discussed items around these large-scale systems. Where you put it, what is it, the role of HBM, and the networking amongst Blackwells, connecting them together, the role of Ethernet as that connects into other networks. You have kind of a multi-network perspective, multiple interconnects. It sounds more complicated, but this is the design. So as you look at this, the reference architectures, what's the consideration for someone who's investing in this? What should they be thinking about when they start deploying?
Yeah, first, you're completely right. You build a supercomputer, and when you build a supercomputer, it's not just one network that covers everything. And it's not even a network. It's a full infrastructure, and it's not just an infrastructure, it's actually a computing infrastructure. And you have a computing infrastructure that we call scale up, that actually create that GPU, right? There's many GPU silicon or many GPU devices. Scale up, create one large GPU. And then you have a scale out computing infrastructure that connects all those racks together and scale up the data center and making the data center a single unit of computing. You have the access network. You have the storage network. There is multiple infrastructure that actually build that data center. And when you think about it, it's very complicated. It's actually a complicated task to try and build that supercomputer. And you want to build it quickly, because when you build an AI data center, there is a good amount of investment. You cannot afford the old concepts of building data centers that took years or even months. You need to get this stuff working in weeks, because every day is expensive. And that's the importance of the reference architecture. That's why when we build a new or when design a new platform, it's a full platform. We build a data center, we create a reference architecture, we test everything, making sure the performance is there, making sure that everything runs, all the software frameworks are there, everything is good to go. And after we build that reference architecture, we provide it to our customers and partners. And if you're following that, you can build that new AI data center in weeks. And you don't need to have huge amount or a huge group of ITs to cover all those elements, because it's no more, let me buy component from A and component from B and try to assemble that. You actually go reference architecture, you can build it in weeks, and you should go to production very, very quickly and be able to enjoy all the software frameworks and all the applications running on top.
Yeah.
And partnership with Cisco bring also the ability of actually utilize Cisco, the Cisco management, everything that they built around. So now there is a reference architecture from Cisco for people that actually want to use or use to
going
use
beyond
Cisco.
the base cluster, this is where the solution level comes in, because how you plug that in, to your wide area network, how do you storage side, and then security. So for us, the secure AI factor has been a key component. And so how do we, everything from LLM protection protection to east-west firewall to putting all those pieces together and growing out from the cloud reference architecture is key for us.
This is why I like this, because what you just basically said was NVIDIA's standing up AI factories now, not data centers. Data centers have been around, bounded by power. You guys have built those racks. Now when you get into the partnership with Cisco, I think what this shows the market is now when you have customers that have been doing networks. You're the networking.
Yep.
Okay. He's got the factories. They have networking inside the factories, which is designed and engineered, complicated. They've done that. Then the customers then deploy. Take us through that piece, because now this is kind of like a scale across, but not the way you guys talk about it in NVIDIA, but more of, okay, you're going to commercialize and create value from the factories. It could be a smaller data center. It could be an edge node. It could be a regional city, sovereign cloud. Who knows what it could be?
Yep.
This is where the value creation comes in. So talk about the importance of how that value is extracted, because if the AI factory does its job and you've got the networks, you connect, now I can code on top of it.
Yep. I
can bring apps in, I can do manageability. Talk about the importance of how you guys are enabled to create the value.
Sure.
And then just your vision on how it's extracted.
So, the industry talks a lot about like neo clouds that are standing up greenfield. So as you branch out and you talk about the wider enterprises, it does start with existing infrastructure. And for them, it is about bringing in and being able, so how am I going to deploy this in and connect it to the Ethernet that I have today? And so what does that look like from a proto? So these are things that in our reference architecture, and as we work with customers, we're making it very easy to stitch that in essentially. And then things like security are big topics. While you may not necessarily need fine-grained security on the east-west network, that cluster and the accompanying data, and many times you're pulling together some of the most critical data for your enterprise. So securing that, being able to have policy wrap around that. So for instance, for us, Isovalent, which was an acquisition we did a year or so ago, is a key component of a lot of these AI clusters, and that being able to bring that in and then even accelerate that on top of things like Bluefield 3 moving to Bluefield 4 in the future is a key part of you can only extract value if it's secure and you trust, then it makes sense. And that's where a lot of customers are going to want to have this infrastructure on-prem where they can control it versus an API in the cloud.
It's interesting that during the SaaS generation, the cloud enabled a lot of value. It's mostly extracted by Apple and Google in the stores. Now with NVIDIA, the value is extracted by the network enablement, which is the owners of that network. It could be neo clouds, even clouds, but also enterprises. So the enterprises and the neo clouds seem to be the ones that eye in on this. You got to talk about that value creation, because now you have new participants who are engineering solutions for doing that. So if I'm an enterprise, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have an AI factory. I might even work with a neo cloud. What does that mean? What does the Cisco relationship mean to that? Because you got the routing, you got the factories. What is the key thing to take away from that? Because that's where the market seems to be shifting the most right now in terms of the GPU deployments and then the software that's running on them to enable just apps to run AI native or retrofitted legacy, modern legacy. That's coming. What's your take on that piece? What's your reaction to that?
Yeah. Will, what do you think?
Well, I think from the partnership standpoint, the key things are pre-validation, then running, for instance, our technology, Cisco Silicon One with Spectrum, and from a customer standpoint, they don't have to understand all these nuances, and so it really comes back to that trust that Cisco and NVIDIA together are offering these solutions, that there's choice in there. It's an ecosystem between the two companies, as well as embracing the broader industry open standards. And so there's, a lot of times customers are confused. There's just so much changing every few months, and in this standpoint, they can work with Cisco and NVIDIA, excuse me, and get these deployments up and running quickly.
Yeah, the key thing is that we want to get those networking AI engines inside. And we want to make it in the easiest way for enterprises to consume that inside their data centers. Now, they have built enterprise data centers for years. They know how to run that. They're using Cisco. They have the full Cisco management across that data center and so forth. For running AI, you need to bring that infrastructure built for AI. So those are the elements, so this is the Spectrum-X Ethernet technology that we're bringing in, and it goes into the Cisco infrastructure. So for those enterprise customers, they see no change from the way that they operate the data center. It's the same thing. But now the data center is not the data center, it's actually an AI supercomputer.
Yeah, I think I think this is the final point where I've seen the harvesting of the term AI for networking or AI for the data center, because what you just said is NVIDIA is bringing AI to the data center. And that, to me, I think is categorically the new thing. Yep. It's not changing it, it's only making it better. So it's a better together story on the partnership.
Absolutely.
But it also changes the game on what actually runs on it. So if you got the keys to the kingdom, which is networking is the, at the end of the day, we know it's the OS of things as you bring things together, because NVIDIA, with the connecting Blackwells together, made it happen. So the interconnects become a topic everyone's talking about, but you got networks, you're connecting.
Yep.
So the word, interconnect is networking. It's just focused. What you're saying is with Cisco, you're bringing AI to the enterprise and all networks.
Correct.
What does that mean? What's the outcome? What happens next from this?
Well, first of all, it's key. This isn't a one and done. So this has been as we put this together, this is going to be multi-generation. So we're already working on the next chips, the next software, the evolution of the algorithms between the NICs and the switch chips and how that all work together. So it's a many years. So as our joint customers buy into these architectures, we will support them and keep going. And so that's a key aspect. But I think a couple key things. The internal algorithms will keep getting more complex, but the other part is operationally making it simple. And so we see that's the area that needs a lot of attention right now, is that these can be quite complex. There might be 4 or 5 different types of networks, all that come together at the cluster. And our customers don't want to have an army of folks. So operations is where I'd say there's a lot of focus.
Yeah, and the hyperfabric AI is the modern
That
approach.
is a new take. We're disrupting ourselves at Cisco, so we have our existing tools and we continue to modernize. But the hyperfabric AI is a radical new approach.
And that's essentially just optimized for the AI cluster.
It is
to power
yes.
what we were just talking about.
And having a view not only of network, but of DPUs and things like across all the DPUs being able to do a mesh of what are the latencies and the connectivity, and then bringing in storage and being able to view it all. So it's a fun new take on infrastructure.
And it's relevant, cool and relevant. So thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time. I'm John Furrier with theCUBE here at NVIDIA's GTC in DC, getting all of the stories and action and the data and sharing that with you. Thanks for watching. Okay. Oh, you want to do a 30-second clip for social? All right, so you want to, here's the 30-minute clip. This is the social media.
30 seconds.
Okay, so what does the partnership mean between NVIDIA and Cisco? What should people take away?
I'll start with trust. Cisco and NVIDIA are working together. We're making these reference architectures cohesive, and we're allowing our customers to bring the supercomputer into the data center.
Bringing AI to the enterprise. That's the meaning of the collaboration between NVIDIA and Cisco.
Okay, all the action here in DC. Thanks for watching.